Hey, welcome to Come On You Spurs TV, where we talk about everything Tottenham. Today we are doing a preview of the match between Tottenham and Liverpool, taking place at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London. Kickoff 5:30 Saturday evening, late kickoff. And to do the preview with me, I have Chuma. Chuma is our in-house guru, as we like to call him, walking encyclopedia of Tottenham and Spurs and football in general. In the meantime, come on, you Spurs. Welcome back. This is Come On You Spurs TV. Like I said in the intro, where we talk about everything Tottenham, and Chuma is here with me to preview the match. Chuma, how are you?
I am abundantly blessed and thankful to be a Spurs fan.
Absolutely fantastic.
A bit of housekeeping. For those of you joining us for the first time, welcome to Common New Spurs Nation. If you could please subscribe, smash the like button, share, click on the notification bell that lets you know every time we upload new content. Comment as well. We'd like to hear what your feedback as well, what you'd like to see, commenting on what we've said, and anything else you'd like to add on our Spurs journey. Come on, you Spurs.
Absolutely fantastic. Yes, so welcome back. Have you recovered from the excitement of the North London Derby?
I've been enjoying feasting on humble pie of some Arsenal fans the entire
Okay.
week. So it's been a wonderful week of them accepting grudgingly that we were up to something, that we have something, that they can see something happening. They're not very pleased that we have Ange Postecoglou and that Ange is implementing his methods, and so they are not happy. And anytime you see an unhappy Arsenal fan, I think it's a moment of celebration, don't you think?
Absolutely. It was one of those matches when you look back at it and you think to yourself, oh wow. Even though it could have gone either way, and perhaps 2-2 was probably a fair result at the end of it all, given how the whole match panned out, but you still feel to some extent that we had a very good chance of coming away with all 3 points at the end of that match.
Yeah, indeed. We snatched a draw from a potential victory.
Well,
However, we're not displeased, and also I like to use this opportunity to counter a narrative that has been floating around that Tottenham fans are celebrating a draw at the Emirates. We're not celebrating a draw at the Emirates as much as celebrating the fact that Arsenal fans, for some Arsenal fans, not all, some Arsenal fans were going around saying that we were going to get smashed, absolutely demolished, obliterated at the Emirates. And we're celebrating the fact that not only did it not come to pass, but the fact that we gave them such a good game that somewhere in the back of their minds they were afraid of losing. And that almost became a possibility. And that's what we celebrate. We celebrate the fact that we persevered with our system, persevered with our methods despite the pressure and the environment, and that's what we celebrated. Not celebrating a draw. We don't celebrate draws.
I'm not even
Under
sure it was a
Ange,
celebration. It was more a celebration of the performance of the boys, of them giving a good
yeah,
account of themselves on the day,
yeah,
as opposed to saying that we were happy with the draw. Of course not, we weren't happy with the draw. I
exactly.
think we were quite disappointed that we didn't come away with the point in that match. I was anyway, so, and that sort of tells it all. Go away to the so-called one of the top teams in the league at the moment, you have to come and grant that credit. Hey, I mean, grudgingly, but hey, that's what they say. 22nd of last season, so hey, you've got to give them that. So you can't take that away. It's a fact. We didn't do that great last season, so we're paying the price of presumably not measuring up to what we're capable of last season. So last season's gone. We have an Ange now, and talking of Ange this is Ange's second red team, if you like, that we're facing at,
This is
Tottenham.
Ange's Red Challenge Part 2. That's
This
probably
is
what it
it
should be then.
exactly.
Part 2.
This is absolutely so. Liverpool coming over to Tottenham, and just reminds me of when Klop took over from at Liverpool when he first came. It's a total opposite here because Klopp was meant to be like some sort of miracle worker who comes in from Germany with his Dortmund record. You know, it was like, I mean, getting the cream of the cream de la cream type manager to come in and make a difference to Tottenham, sorry, to Liverpool at the time. And now we have a manager who it wasn't quite hyped up as a miracle worker, if anything at all. When he first got appointed, a lot of pundits were like, and who's that, you know, sort of thing. Like, and you had all these sort of people coming up with out of the woodwork and saying how poorly we'll do this season. Hurricane going, new manager who doesn't know the Premier League. He's only one in Scotland. Scotland is not in the Premier League, but he's kind of confounded a lot of those critics at the moment. He's had a very good start, you know. So on the one hand, the good start is almost like a total contrast to what Klopp had. I mean, when he first came in, he didn't win anything for how many years? Remind us.
It took him about 2 years to get them playing functionally how he wanted them to.
Yeah.
If you remember, they played us in that game, that famous game where they had Dejan Lovren as centre back, and
Yeah.
he got abused. He got abused completely by Harry Kane, and we won 4-0 at Wembley.
I think it was 4-1.
That
Yeah.
was that 4-1. I think yeah.
Yeah.
So that was Klopp. That was Klopp early stages, and in my opinion, I think Ange's early stages have been. I don't know. I think it's really interesting because I expected us to do well, but I didn't expect us to have as good a start as this. But then I realized that as much as certain members of our fan base keep going on about Deadwood and useless players and everything else, the quality that Spurs has technically, with all due respect to Chelsea, to Celtic, and to Yokohama Marinos and Brisbane and all the other teams he's played, the quality is so much higher. So he's working with more quality players, more technically gifted players. So I think it's actually quite easy for his methods to translate into actual wins and actual good football quicker than it did there. That's not to say that we're not going to face challenges, but my goodness, I think the players also embraced his football and they are technically superior, I think, as a group, not individually technically superior to everyone at Celtic, but as a group, I think they are technically superior to any team he has ever coached in his life. And it's showing. His message is coming across very, 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 very clearly and very fluently as well. So yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, everyone seems to be sort of really pleased that he's been able to sort of implement or to have the team playing to his style, and it's so obvious to anybody watching that. I mean, the team have literally bought into his psyche, and everyone's like kind of coming up with the same hymn sheet, and you're having plenty of Ange praise everywhere you go. I mean, there's everywhere you go online. It's how Tottenham are playing well. A lot of pundits, if you like, didn't give us a chance. I mean, at the beginning of the season, in terms of those they felt would be in those key competitive sports. I mean, top four, top six. I mean, no one even had us in the top six. I was looking back at some of the predictions that some of the folks had at the beginning of the season, and no one had us as top six. Now, I mean, granted, it's only early days. I mean, nothing is won in September. But people are beginning to change their team already. Now, I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's clearly some indication of how much progress or how much of an impact he's having on not just Tottenham, but on the whole world of football in general. And it's a lovely place to be in at the moment, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And in fact, I'll tell you, there's a catchy buzzword at the moment online. It was started by um, I may butcher his name here, Carlo Garganese, I think, and Nima, I can't remember Nima's surname. Anyway, the Italian football podcast, and Carlo came up with this word years ago called prem face. So prem face is basically it's sort of like a put down to journalists, pundits, ex-players, all the people in the media that they only watch Premier League games. They don't watch any football outside. So anything outside of the Premier League is deemed inferior or not suitable or not up to scratch. And the prem faces basically the pundits you always see that always talk and they always big up the English league or the English players or the English national team, but they don't look outside. They're the ones that discover that, oh my God, oh, Dennis Bergkamp is a good player. Oh my God, Zola is amazing. When everybody else who's watched football outside knew that Zola was really good, or all these players were really Patrick Vieira, and all these people were actually quite good players. So prem face is what happened to Ange. They prem face Ange. They are only looking at their thing, going, "We don't know about you. You're in a league outside, a league that we consider inferior." Forgetting this man has put a body of work where he's teaching the same method over 30 years. You know, in any other work of life, we welcome people with more experience. In fact, you and I are both based in the UK, where employment wise they don't even care about the qualifications as much as the experience and the technical know-how, and that's what Ange has in spades. So there's no surprise. It's only a surprise to the people who were very close-minded, and I'm happy for them. Some of them have really come back on their words, and they've actually admitted, the same as people did in Scotland. It's like history just repeating itself. Everything he's going through now, he actually went through in Scotland. The Scottish
Absolutely.
fans, Celtic fans, said the exact same thing. So it's literally they said to us, "You will do the same thing that we did." We doubted him. He came in and he proved himself, and he kept proving himself. We kept waiting for him to fail, and he just refused to fail. And that's not to say that there will not be adverse results or anything like that. But so far so good, and on a game by game basis, this is. There's so many things that are blessings to Spurs as well. Being out of Europe is such a huge blessing because imagine Arsenal had to play PSV midweek. Now, while they cruised against PSV, that was still a game where they had to focus. And then they came the weekend and the North London derby. They didn't use it as an excuse, thank God, because they would have used that as an excuse, oh, we played Champions League. Some people probably did. But Spurs have a clean slate. We're not there. We're not in the League Cup, unfortunately. That would have taken us this midweek as well. We'd have had to play in the League Cup, and against Norwich if we'd beaten Fulham. So you have to think of like the little blessings that things that started off as curses or the wrong things that happened to Spurs, but ended up becoming huge blessings. We have a week to continue training. Injuries are probably going to be less this season. Like, look at it. We have a very good first 11. We don't know what the second 11 would be like, if they decide to play. Some would say that was what the Fulham game showed us. However, our first 11 can stay fitter for longer because we're only playing a game a week or two games max, so happy days.
Happy days indeed. Happy days indeed. Now, in terms of form going on into this match, um, Liverpool are 1 point ahead of us, aren't they, on the table?
Yeah. Yes.
And they are riding high. I mean, they're coming from behind. And in terms of possibly, maybe we just nudge ahead of them slightly in terms of being what we call the comeback kings, if you like, because Liverpool have come back from a lot of losing
A lot
positions
of,
this
yeah.
season. I mean, most of the
Same.
matches that
Same.
they've played this season, they've had to come from behind. And on account of that, it just means that it really doesn't matter who scores first in this sort of match. Now, before we go into the sort of predictions as to how the match is going to turn out and all that, I mean, you do get a sense of what people are expecting in terms of how we're going to set up in comparison to Liverpool and how Liverpool, uh, I mean, because if we just essentially what are going to be the key battle areas? This is the question here. I mean, in my view, I think I mean, I probably have a view in terms of I think probably going to be in the midfield area, where they have people like Sabozai, McAllister. They have what's our third man's name there? Can now
They have
remind me
they
too.
have they have Gravenberch that they just bought from Bayern Munich, the Dutch boy, Dutch player.
Right. So, and when we have Bissouma, we have Sa, and then we have Madison, who are like the engine room in that midfield of ours, and they've kind of given a good account of themselves so far this season. I mean, at least our
Mm.
midfield, and um, it's more. I would say that. I mean, without sounding cocky or too self assured, you find that a lot of people give begin to give that midfield a lot of respect. Bissouma tops the league in terms of his interceptions, in terms of moving the ball into key areas, in terms of tackles, passing. It's just been a big, huge revelation this season. And Madison is too bad either. I mean, it's just I'm loving what's going on in that midfield. How do you think they rate against Liverpool?
Okay, the first thing you talked about the key battles, and you're very right. Tottenham's midfield against their midfield, but also it's also our front three against their front three as well. Like their front three is highly functional and rotational as well. So you have, of course, the linchpin Mohamed Salah, but then you have Darwin Nunes, who in his second season, Darwin Nunes is getting better. I think he's mentally over. He had a mental sort of crutch last season that he would miss chances and he'd get down. But now he's like, no, the chances are going to come. So if you watch him, he misses a chance, he scores the next one. So Darwin Nunes is doing well. And then Luis Diaz as well has settled in after his long term injury last year as well. He's back, he's running fully. So you've got three of them, and you've got our front three of Kulusevski, Son, and it could be Richarlison or Brennan Johnson. If we keep the same side as against Arsenal, if Brennan Johnson is fully fit because he had a hamstring issue, our front three and our midfield threes are really the most exciting, probably the most exciting in the league, barring Arsenal and Manchester City. We know them from last year, but in terms of this season, in terms of emerging teams, Liverpool and Tottenham have the best midfield three and attacking front three that the season can has produced so far. And you can see it in the numbers. Liverpool look reborn because the real problem was, the Liverpool midfield aged out. You had Henderson, you had Milner, you had Fabinho, and they couldn't really play rock and roll football, as everyone knows. Klopp terms
Rock
his
and roll
football,
football.
where they are pressing, yeah, they are running. But all of a sudden, you take out these players and you've injected Gravenberch, Curtis Jones, who has become more solidified in the first team squad now. And then you have Slobosai, who I've been a huge fan of Slobosai for years. And, it's one of those cases of a player that you want and someone else gets. And I'm not surprised at how quickly he's taken to the Premier League and how quickly his impact has been felt. And I think if there's anything I would say is the huge advantage, as much as we talk about midfield, I think it's actually defense that is going to be a key thing in this game because um, we've seen Van Dijk all these years. Virgil van Dijk has been probably a colossus in Liverpool's defense. I think he and Alisson, the goalkeeper, were the huge reason Liverpool turned the corner in Klopp's revolution to win their title and then win the Champions League as well. Virgil van Dijk was a huge part of that. But as with all things, powers start to wane as the years go by, as the injuries clock. I don't think he's been the same since his injury. And you look at who partners him as well. You have Matip, not really that great. Then you have I can't remember who else is next to him again. The French Konate. Konate is good, a bit rash. And then you have people like Joe Gomez, and then even Trent Alexander-Arnold that have had their struggles in their positions. Trent Alexander-Arnold, brilliant ball distributor, but as a fullback, he can be attacked. So you look at that Liverpool defense, but you look at Tottenham's defense, and we're flying at the moment. We're conceding goals, but we're not out of control. Romero, Van de Ven, Udogi, who is by far probably the best left back in the league at the moment, and then Pedro Porro, who was seen as a supposed weak link, but all of a sudden has been actually putting up very good defensive displays and distributing the ball as we know he can. So I think it's defense where Spurs has the advantage over Liverpool. And midfield wise, we could match up pretty well. Attack wise, we match up pretty well. But which defense would be more troubled? I think Liverpool's defense would be more troubled by Spurs' attack and midfield than Spurs would be for them.
Interesting. Very, very interesting stuff. So, if you look at our defense and how they stand up against potentially the attack, I mean, we have. I mean, before we look at the potential side lineup of who we're gonna have on the pitch on the day, but if we just sort of say, I mean, potentially we will probably line up with Porro, Van de Ven, Romero, and Udogie, making a back four. Now, how would you rate that against Liverpool's front line?
I would rate them very favorably. I think Destiny Udogie, I think, had a real test at the Emirates against Bukayo Saka, and he handled Saka very well after he initially got turned properly in the first half, and he learned a valuable lesson about Saka being that he's left-footed and inverting inside, how he has to show him out more, and I think he would try to do that more with Salah. Salah is better with his right foot than Bukayo Saka is, but if you show him right, you minimize him a bit more. So Salah versus Udogie would be, I think that would be a highlight of the
Something to
day.
look forward to,
Uh,
right?
Something to look forward to. It was the same way at the game against Arsenal. In terms of Darwin Nunes against Van de Ven and Romero, I think it's more Van de Ven. I think would handle. It's more him that would try and go for Darwin Nunes more. And I think Van de Ven is just he's a smooth operator like that. The Sade song I'd call him a smooth operator. He's just someone that he's going unnoticed, but he's just doing that work. He's putting in that work, and you can see it. And so Van der Ven against him, Romero probably helping out more against Luis Diaz with Porro, because Luis Diaz is going to be a very tricky customer. He is the one, I think, he's doing the running for Salah now. Salah always had Mane to do the running for him. Now he has Luis Diaz.
A lot of interesting battles going to go on that day, and I'm very much looking forward to it. I'm sure a lot of Tottenham fans are also looking forward to what the match will look like on the day. Now, our midfield has our classic performers, if you like, Bissouma, Madison, and Sarr. Now, I just I'm so pleased with that lineup. I mean, I don't see us changing that for any reason. Maybe my being Hoiberg, I don't know. I don't know how fit Madison is going to be in terms of he had a bit of a knock against Arsenal. Now I'm not even sure if Lo Celso is fit as well to start or even play as well. So I don't know what the injury situation is like. Do you have an idea?
Well, I think Madison picked up a knock, but this is the advantage, like I said, of having the week long break. Is these little micro problems you can be sorted out, and stuff like tight hamstrings or like certain minor injuries or knocks, they can heal faster during a week's break as opposed to playing in midweek or trying to. Now they have the time, so I think he's okay to play. It's Brennan Johnson, I think, that is more the concern, because I think it's more a hamstring thing. And Tottenham, I think in the last couple of seasons, we've really suffered our share of hamstring issues with our players. Sessignon being the prime problem with hamstrings. But hopefully, hopefully Brian Johnson breaks through. But we have Richarlison as well, so it's like we're kind of spoiled for choice if that didn't happen. And for whatever reason, this is just my personal opinion. I think that should Lo Celso not be fit, really think we might start to see Dejan Kulusevski coming a bit more central. You and I spoke about it off air about how he became a bit more central in the Sheffield United game,
Yeah.
and you could see that he was quite good in those central positions. I wouldn't be surprised. I watched some training footage that kind of showed him still in those positions and shooting, and I was like, maybe Ange somewhere along the line is planning to unleash him as the creative 8-10 that Madison is. Should Madison, be held down for any reason, and Lo Celso isn't ready to play as well. But yeah, it's. I think a lot will hinge on Bissouma. Um, Bissouma started slowly against Arsenal, and then but as he picked up, so did we. Our ball progression, relies on how quickly Bissouma handles midfield or gets a grip of midfield. So if Bissouma kicks off really early, and being that this is a home match, I think he will. Then we're in for a wonderful ride.
So would you go for a Poro instead of Emerson, or rather Emerson instead of Poro? Because Emerson, I mean, Poro has been starting so far this season, and the reason I asked that question is because with a view to coping with Diaz on the other side, of Salah. So you probably will have Nunes in the middle, and Diaz coming in from the left hand side.
Yeah, see. The thing is, like, I expected. So remember, we spoke at the preview before the Arsenal match, and I expected Emerson to come back because I felt they needed more physicality. But lo and behold, I think Poro is now the starting right back for Tottenham Hotspur, and I think Emerson is his deputy, and I think Poro will start this game as well. Also, for the mere fact that if you're playing, I think Brennan Johnson and you're playing Son, people who can run in behind,
Yeah.
and Liverpool play a high line as well. You need a player who can launch it from the back, that is pinpoint, and we saw that especially against Burnley, how Poro was just like what do you call it, spotter's badge, spotter's badge passes. It was just simply look, get the ball on that, bam, and it's right in front of you. People like Brandon Johnson and Son, you really don't want them playing them behind you or off your shoulder, and that's what I think. So I think he's there. Defensively, I think he may be challenged or struggle, but it depends. Let's see how he copes with it, But I see him starting. Maybe Emerson still comes on later in the game as well, if and when results are favorable to Tottenham. I think you just show it up by bringing Emerson on.
Let's have a quick rundown of what we think the lineup would look like. I think we've more or less settled on the fact that it's going to be Poro, isn't it? And then
Yeah.
and Udogie on both sides of the of the back line, and then Van de Ven and Romero in the middle.
Yeah.
I think he might drop. You think he might drop Vicario?
What's interesting is a lot wasn't made of it, but my goodness, he was just one jump away from getting his ankle broken by Nketiah in that
honestly,
match. How
honestly.
Nketiah escaped without a red card is beyond me. But thank goodness for his sharp reflexes to be able to sort of semi jump out of that challenge, because if Vicario had gone down, I fail to see, like, I love Fraser Foster, but I don't think it will be the same without Vicario. Vicario has really cemented himself for someone who started off so shakily. He invites so much pressure onto himself and then just plays a simple pass in between the lines to the player coming back. He's been growing the same way we're growing as a team. The individuals within that team, the new core, him, Van de Ven, Udogie, you can see them growing with every match. And yeah, Vicario is one of the first names on the sheet now, literally.
Yeah, I mean, I think if people look back to some of the episodes we had before in the past, I think we had one where we said, "What's Ange cooking at Tottenham?" Before the season started. If you go back and look at that episode, we spoke a lot about how we felt the team would line up, and things. A lot of those things have come to pass.
Mm.
Exactly how you said it apparently in the past. So Nostradamus.
I'd rather be Optimus than Nostradamus. I think Optimus is a better life.
Absolutely, absolutely. Right. Scorelines. What do you
Ooh.
think that scoreline would look like at the end of 90 minutes on Saturday?
Well, Ange has a habit of scoring more than 2 goals per game. Everyone now knows that we score 2 goals or more. So I always think it's a difference of two. So I would have opted for 2-0, but I have the sneaky feeling Liverpool score against Tottenham quite a lot. So I'm going for 3-1 to Tottenham.
Okay. Do you want to sort of venture a guess as to who the scorer or who might be on the score sheet?
I don't know who all the scorers will be, but I think Richarlison will score. If Richarlison plays, if Richarlison starts, I think he scores. If he comes on as a sub, possibly he scores. But I think Richarlison has, yeah, I think something about being an ex Everton player, being an Evertonian, uh, it rankles with Liverpool fans. They don't like him much. And he gets under their skin, and he scored that goal, his first league goal last season, or his only league goal last season against Liverpool. I think he has the measure of their players. He knows how to rattle them. So if he plays, I see him scoring. I also see, like, if Brennan Johnson, I'll venture another score, Brennan Johnson as well. If Brennan Johnson gets to play as well, if he's fully fit, yeah, I think this match favors people who can run in behind. I don't think Van Dijk and Matip have the legs if Konate doesn't play to match up to our guys playing in behind them. I don't think they do. So I'm going 3-1. 3-1 to Spurs.
Absolutely fantastic. I would probably go for a 2-0 Tottenham and them not scoring. You know, hey. So I think Richarlison will score a brace. That's me. But hey, he scored his
like
first
that.
goal last season against them. So
Yeah.
hoping that will be the case again. 2-goal margin. Tottenham on top. That's my prediction. I know that I'm a bit optimistic, but I mean, with the start that we've had this season so far, I think it's not too far fetched to expect the Tottenham home win on this occasion.
Indeed.
It will be a tough match without a doubt because Liverpool don't sit back, you know, and because they don't sit back, it offers us a lot of opportunity for attack, and we don't sit back either. So fascinating prospects, you know, exciting prospects as well. Final words, Chuma.
Well, like you said, I look forward to a high octane game. I think it's going to be a lot of back and forth. It's going to be end to end. Both managers have an ethos that demands that their team attack and press, counter press. So this is going to be a wonderful spectacle for the neutral. But somebody's unbeaten run has to end, and I think it's going to be Liverpool's unbeaten run that ends at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and onwards and forwards, Ange ball goes.
Fantastic. Right. So we are going for a Tottenham win. Ange and Ange's red challenge will possibly end the victory for this time around, you know, phase 2. And I think we very much look forward to a positive outcome on this one. Guys, if you want to join us on the live stream post-match, please join us. It starts at 8:15. I think the match ends at about 7:30, so 45 minutes after the end of the match, we'll kick off a live stream. I'm not sure if Chuma can join us, but if you can, that would be fantastic. Otherwise,
if I can,
catch you
if I
guys.
can, I will.
Catch you guys on the other side. In the meantime, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Gosh, there you go.